The Nissan 240SX. Let me start by saying I absolutely love the Nissan 240SX, but I'm here to tell you today that it no longer makes any sense to buy one. Before you discredit what I have to say at all, know that in my car career, I have owned 3 different 240s. At 17, I did a SR20 swap on an S13 chassis, way before any of the 240 scene was cool at all. Here it comes. After that, I got another S13 chassis with the Zilvia front end, put a full cage in it, and took that baby to the track. It had a GT28. It was pretty fast, and it was a lot of fun. The final 240 I've had was an S14 with an RB26 swap. It made like 500 wheel, and it was an absolute blast on the track. So before you say anything or before you discredit my opinion, hear me out. Know that I know a little bit about 240s. So what happened with 240s? What happened with 240s is they've got too expensive. The reason that 240s were great is because they were fun and they were cheap. That's a specific equation, and when you remove the cheap part, they are no longer a very good value. After I show you a couple ridiculous examples of 240SXs and how they are priced now, which is just the norm, I'm going to show you an alternative to the 240, which in my opinion is going to be the new 240SX in the sense of it's going to be cheap and it's going to be fun, and you can use it for all different kinds of things. Drifting, road racing, all that stuff. So stay tuned for that, but let's dive into these ridiculous 240s. We're on a 240SX forum. This is Zilvia.net, which is, if you know 240s, this is a place where everyone goes. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a 1989 Nissan 240SX. So it's the first year of the S13. It's got a stock engine, KA24E, which if you know anything about 240s, that's the single cam KA engine. It is absolutely nothing special. It might have made 140 horsepower new. It's got some part spin brakes. Looks like a couple suspension mods, but $6,500 for this thing. This is not a $6,500 car. This is a 1980s 240SX, but this is the kind of thing that you find with these cars. So this is an S13, and this is one example. Stock engine, $6,500, ridiculous. Here's a more expensive 240, even more expensive, I should say. So this is a 95 S14, but it looks like it's converted to an S15 front end. Although, as I look at these photos, the front bumper isn't even attached. Once again, $15,000 20-year-old Nissan for $15,000 without the front bumper attached. But this is the kind of thing you get with 240. So it's got a built SR20, and let's see how much. Okay, it made 550 horsepower on a SR20. So that's 550 horsepower from a 2-liter. I would love to see the amount of lag. The amount of time it takes for this turbo to spool. I mean, I can't believe that people would charge this kind of money for this car, but this is what you get with 240s. So now that we've looked at a couple examples of 240s, and I can tell you from personal experience, I'm always browsing for cars. This is just the norm now. They're outrageously priced. So now that we've looked at a couple, let me tell you about the alternative. The alternative is a Nissan 350Z. Guys, these are getting so cheap right now, and it's a relatively modern car, and it's way quicker than a 240 out of the box. Basically, you're looking at a 3.5-liter engine, which is damn near bulletproof. You can pick these up for way less than 10 grand. I've seen some of these, and I'm about to show you a few examples on Craigslist for $6,000, $7,000. So this is the new 240SX. It's a better platform to start with. It looks better. It's just an all-around better car. You don't have to swap it in order to make it fast. It just is pretty fast from the stock. So here's a couple examples. Here's a 350Z, $5,500. Can you believe that?
It's got a clean title and everything, 150,000 miles, whatever. I think these engines are super stout. That wouldn't even concern me as long as like whoever has owned this has changed the oil and stuff like that. But it looks maybe a little rough, but what 240 isn't rough at this point? And you know, it's more than 10 years newer than all the 240s that we were looking at before. I mean, you know, this one, like I said, a little rough. You know, it sounds like the exhaust might be a bit of an issue, but it's a manual, it's a clean title, and it's $5,500. That's cheaper than both 240s we looked at. And you're getting double the horsepower for that same amount of money. It's pretty ridiculous. So let's look at another one. Here's an 03 that's $7,500, so a little more expensive, I'll admit that, than the first one we looked at, but it's got less miles, 125,000 miles, and it looks in way better condition. I mean, obviously these are terrible Craigslist photos, but it looks pretty clean overall. I kind of dig the wheels, and yeah, it just looks like it's been relatively well cared for. Looks like this was this guy's daily driver, or is, and yeah, it looks like it's in good condition. But like I said, double the horsepower, a much newer platform. There's a ton of aftermarket support for these things as well, you know, which is something that you want to consider if you were looking at a 240. But this is the new go-to, and these are only going to get cheaper. There's so many of them out there. They made 1 million of them, and yeah, this is the new 240.
Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I completely crazy and off base here? That very well could be. Do I have a point? Maybe as well. Or maybe there's another car that you think is kind of the modern day 240 and is fun and cheap. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you guys next time.